Hello there. You're listening to the Box Office Show. I'm Ryan Hill.
And I'm Dylan Johnson. Today we're going to be talking about the box office numbers from last weekend and our box office predictions for this upcoming weekend.
We'll also be diving back into the mysterious world of whodunit extraordinaire Benoit Blanc for the third installment of Rian Johnson's Knives Out trilogy, Wake Up Dead Man.
And the only mystery left to solve is whether or not we enjoy this unholy caper of a trilogy capper.
Our news. There's a lot to talk about. Unfortunately, we have to start with a terrible tragedy. Rob Reiner, of course, the beloved director, actor, very important figure in all of Hollywood. He has passed away. He's been brutally taken. He and his wife were killed by their son about a week ago now in his home, and it's just a terrible, awful tragedy. Everyone is reeling from it. It's just so senseless. His son has had a long history with addiction and was very troubled. Apparently, one of the films Rob Reiner had done in his final stretch was talking about that, about his son and his son's experience. And unfortunately, things were not able to turn out for the best. And so rest in peace to Rob Reiner and to his wife, Michelle. And everyone is distraught by this, and it's terrible. But thankfully, there is a slew of films that Rob Reiner has created that have given joy to so many people. Again, we have done director analyses on these films that are all classics and incredible works of art. And so he will forever have a place in Hollywood and has left his mark on filmmaking by giving us all of that. And so thank you, Rob Reiner. Once again, rest in peace.
You will be missed. He definitely was in like my top 10 filmmakers of all time. I mean, we've gone on so many positive rants on this show about his run of films in the 80s and early 90s and how incredible that run is.
Mm-hmm.
Truly iconic filmmaking. When Harry Met Sally, A Few Good Men, This Is Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, Misery, The Princess Bride. Like truly legendary films that are not just like crowd pleasers and huge hits, but also just massive critical successes. One of the like most prolific filmmakers of the era of the 1980s, which is a tough time in filmmaking. That and he's just stands out leagues above others as being just completely committed to the art of storytelling and the filmmaking process in total. Completely dedicated, a selfless man, somebody who was committed to trying to make the world a better place, always widely beloved by so many people. I mean, it's just a true tragedy, and he will be sorely missed for the remainder of time. I mean, just to think of the amount of time he could have had left, if he could have lived the rest of his life. I mean, the things he could have done, it's unknown, and it's truly horrible what happened. He will be sorely missed.
I mean, that's what's upsetting. I mean, we had talked about, our most recent discussion was on the later period of his career.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems, I mean, he released a movie months ago. This is Spinal Tap 2. And so we don't know what his intentions were there, whether that was going to be the final film or if he wanted to continue directing films, but he was still certainly popping up in work. I mean, he was in The Bear most recently, like earlier this year, and his character was still around. He was supposed to be part of season 5. He's always showing up in works here and there. I mean, we always talk about his appearance in Wolf of Wall Street, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just so well connected to everyone in Hollywood because he was beloved, like by all accounts. He was just an incredible guy. And again, you see that come up a lot in his work, like in that classic run of films that he had that we talk about, where there's just so much warmth throughout all of it. And that's his mark. That's definitely how he will be remembered most of all. And so we can appreciate that. Yeah, he lived an incredible life. So once again, rest in peace, Rob Reiner. Truly terrible and senseless tragedy. Going on to other news, we are gonna give an update for the Warner Brothers Discovery merger in a weird twist of fate. I think the last time we talked about this was in our Rob Reiner director analysis,
Mm,
where I went on a tirade and a rant about how we knew that Warner Brothers was trying to sell itself, and
yeah.
I thought it was going to be terrible. And anyone that isn't immediately profiting off of this is, I'm sure, also seeing it as a terrible event for not
Mm,
just movies in general, for theatrical movies, but also just for our world at large. Definitely don't think it is a great trend to have all this consolidation, but it seems like we know what is going to happen. Netflix is going to absorb Warner Brothers Discovery. They struck a deal for 82 billion. They're now in exclusive talks. However, in a very Succession-esque move, Paramount is trying to do a hostile takeover, and it's been turned down thus far. We're going to see what other tricks they have up their sleeve, but it seems like, for all intents and purposes, Netflix is going to be the new home for all kinds of Warner Brothers properties, the DCU, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, all the Looney Tunes stuff, Game of Thrones. I mean, take your pick of all these massive
Scooby Doo.
franchises. Scooby Doo, they will all now be going to Netflix, HBO, again, everything that's on
Yeah.
there.
The Sopranos.
All of that. And then again, we'll see what happens, CNN, if they're going to spin that off or not. All the Discovery stuff, HGTV and all that jazz. Are those going to get spun off? Are they going to also go to Netflix? We have no idea. But Ted Sarandos has said that he wants to keep theaters alive and they're going to respect the theatrical window for Warner Brothers releases. We will see. We'll
I don't
see
believe
whether or
him.
not that actually plays out. Again, I'm hoping that they'll be smart and they're like, HBO is a brand unto itself. Leave that alone.
Mhm,
Allow the quality that HBO has curated over the past 2.5 decades to stand for itself.
mhm,
And with Warner Brothers in particular, I hope they allow a run that we saw in this year with great original films, again, like Sinners.
mhm.
We had the Mickey 17, one about after another. Um, and then they even had, the IP stuff was doing really well, Conjuring, all that stuff. Superman did really well. So, like, Warner Brothers had a great year. So I'm hoping this will not be the last year, that it is able to have unique filmmaker driven movies come out and find an audience for people in theaters before it gets sucked up into Netflix. So yeah, what
Yeah.
are your thoughts on the are you happy it's Netflix rather than Paramount or Comcast? Like, were you rooting for anyone in particular
I
in
was
this
rooting
this
for
battle?
HBO and Warner Brothers to just be its own thing still. I was
Again, that was
rooting for it
my
to exist,
my hope, but yeah, not gonna happen.
But
So
no, they're selling for whatever reason. They just have to profit. And I don't know, man. It's just disappointing to see. It just kind of sucks. The consolidation of the big studios. Like Warner Brothers has been around for 100 years,
yeah.
right? It's been 100 fucking years, and now they're owned by Netflix, which has been around for what 20. Just sucks, you know. It sucks to see the consolidation happen. It sucks to see the big studios, like the whole idea of the studio system, become corrupted and corrode into nothingness. And it truly is becoming a time for independent filmmaking to thrive. Like there's just going to be no other way pretty soon for a movie of true value and merit to come out unless you do it independently. Like there will always be these big studios will always put out like one or two art house films to try and win awards each year, but two ain't enough. Two is not enough. I don't want to watch two art house films and then hundreds of mid tier blockbusters all year round. You know, I don't want to watch a bunch of superhero movies and a bunch of franchise features and sequels, and then watch one original piece for the Oscar contender for the studio. You know,
Mhm.
and the more they consolidate, the less those films get a budget because it turns too much into profit. The whole argument against monopolization is if you're going to have a capitalist system, competition is supposed to breed uh, uniqueness, ingenuity, and in the like in the world of art as commerce, it breeds better art. Competition is supposed to breed better art. And if there is no competition, then what is the fucking point? At this point, the only point is independent filmmaking is the only thing that is going to be worthwhile at a certain point. And that kind of sucks. Because the studio system didn't used to be great, but it used to be good. It used to work.
Hmm.
It used to pump out some hits every year. And every year nowadays, less and less. And more independent filmmakers. Just last year or 2 years ago, I don't remember. I think it was last year. Honora and The Brutalist, head to head, two independent films. Both of
Hmm.
them are great. No other choice. No other choice. Speaking of no other choice, no other choice this year.
Yep.
That might have actually been a studio, but it's a Korean studio, which is more in line with the original idea of the studio system, as opposed to American studios, which are becoming consolidated and monopolies for commercialization. So no, this kind of sucks. To watch my art get the art form that I love more than any other art form in the world get boiled down into who makes the most money just kind of sucks. Because for a long time it was always films were the intersection of art and commerce. And now it just feels like commerce. And where's the art? And that sucks.
Indeed. I mean, there are, like I said, this year. I mean, we have some shining examples coming out of Warner Brothers, and so hopefully that there will still be some places for that in the future. But yeah, it definitely is very bleak and will reduce the opportunities for filmmakers to be able to put art out at the highest level, right? I mean, the whole issue with independent films is there's never really a guarantee that it gets one to the end of the finish line, and then even if it's able to get distribution, whether or not it'll find an audience there, you know, the studios originally were supposed to be able to, on a certain level, guarantee that there's going to be an audience, and obviously, you know, the past 10
Mm,
years that's changed since COVID, since the rise of streaming has really taken over. So again, like all the issues kind of come back down to Netflix, but then also, you know, things like YouTube and TikTok and things like that, and the fractured media landscape that we have now. So there's a lot of different factors at play for it,
mm,
but this is probably not the way to go if we wanted to ensure the longevity of theaters and the theatrical experience and, again, filmmaker driven movies. So we'll see. We'll see how it shakes out. We'll see, you know, in a year or two's time whether this deal has fully been finished and then what they do as far as putting out Warner Brother films, those that are going to be in development over these next couple of years. We'll have to see, you know, if that changes at all. And then same with, you know, all the stuff on HBO. Like, what will those just end up on Netflix, or will they retain their HBO identity?
mm.
I don't know. We will see. But let's pivot to celebrating at least some elements of uh, our our beloved art form, the Golden Globe nominations, which again historically always a very incredible organization. They've done their whole switch over in the past couple of years, so now they are nominating more things that are trying to be, you know, artistic rather than the splashy, you know, red carpet Hollywood fare. So that's been an interesting shift in the past couple of years. As for us, with our Oscar draft, Golden Globes can give some insight into where the state of the race is going to be when the
Mm.
Oscars do their
Yeah.
nominations. So let's take a look and see how things are shaken up.
That
So,
being said, the Golden Globes are also just a fucking crapshoot sometimes. Sometimes they throw in people that are just completely random that never show up again in the awards race.
well, that's true because again, that was their whole mo. Like, you know, 10 years ago, whatever, they could be easily bribed. You know, the Hollywood Foreign Press Association,
Oh
and then they
yeah.
just wanted the glitz and glamour, right? They wanted the big party of all the Hollywood celebs, so they would nominate people for
Mm.
that reason.
Yeah.
Now, again, it's shifted, so they do nominate a little bit more artistic fare, definitely more like
Mm.
international stuff. But there's still some, you know, some of that old DNA. in the Golden Globes. So yeah, we'll
for sure.
see. There's definitely going to be some people here, and there's also the expanded nomination count. So naturally, there's going to be some people that just never make the cut for the when it's capped at five, and they don't have
Hmm.
the drama versus musical slash comedy split in the other
Yep.
awards branches. But yeah, let's take a look and see whether or not one of us is going to be feeling more confident about the Oscar race or a little bit more subdued than
Hmm.
weeks ago when we made the draft. So, Best Motion Picture Drama. Our six Golden Globe nominees are Frankenstein, Hamnet, It Was Just an Accident, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and The Secret Agent. So,
For what do you think? Will win? Should win?
I don't know if we're ready to start hitting our should win, will win type stuff.
It's tough, dude. I've only seen half of them. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
so I wanna watch a few more. Secret Agent is out in theaters. I did see that the other day, so I need to try and find
Really?
some time this
Oh,
week. Yeah, to go
me
and
too.
check it out. Um,
Marty
but yeah,
Supreme comes out what this weekend or last weekend? I forget.
I think Christmas Day, so it's coming up.
Sick.
But yeah, so yeah, two and two there. So I have
Hmm.
Frankenstein, Sentiments of Value of Hamnet, and Sinners. And then when we go to comedy slash musical, we have Blue Moon, Begonia, Marty Supreme, No Other Choice, we have a Vogue, and One Battle After Another.
Dude, two Richard Linklaters. It's kind of interesting.
That's pretty
They
dope.
both made it in.
I like that.
Very, very interesting. I mean, you're obviously doing pretty good here with Marty Supreme and One Battle After Another, and I've got Begonia, which feels all right.
Indeed.
Best Motion Picture Animated. Obviously, neither of us picked any animated movies, so this is just kind of for funsies. Arco, Demon Slayer, Elio, K-pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie or the Character of Rain, and Zootopia 2.
Forgot Elio came out this year. That's kind of wild.
Dude,
Demon
tell me about it.
Slayer and K-pop Demon Hunters. Very compelling
Mhm.
there. Arco
Heard good
is
things about Arco.
one that I've heard, yeah, very good things. It's definitely on the more independent side, so I want to give that a look. But
Mhm.
Zootopia 2 is definitely the big monster of the year, so we'll see if Disney's able to get their win back for that. As far as non-English film, we have It Was Just an Accident, No Other Choice, Sentimental Value, Sarat, The Secret Agent, and the voice of Hind Rajab. So a lot of these are familiar, right? They were nominated
Oh
in the
yeah.
big categories already, which again, I'm wondering how we're gonna deal with that moving forward because again, I feel like you're already getting the big shout in the major category
Every year, more
to
and more
have
foreign films get nominated for Best Picture. Every
exactly.
year.
It's been
This
yeah
year,
for
we're
the
probably gonna
past
have three, I think.
5 or 6 years. It's been at minimum one. Every single one has gone in, and
Mhm.
then there's been two. I think the past couple years. This year,
Yeah.
yeah, it could be
I think it's gonna be
three
three
to
for Best
four.
Picture. I think it's gonna be No Other Choice, Sentimental Value, and It Was Just an Accident. I think No Other Choice is actually going to sneak in, which
The
I didn't
Secret
think
Agent
when we did
could
the
also.
draft. The Secret Agent could also sneak in. I think No Other Choice, having seen it now, I think is going to make its way in, which is interesting. I wonder what it's going to push out because I was very confident in the 10 that I picked for Best Picture when we did the draft. I really thought they were going to stick. I think maybe Jay Kelly gets pushed out, but we'll see. I mean, Netflix is going to be pushing, but not as hard as they're pushing Frankenstein. And then
Exactly.
best performance by a female actor in a motion picture drama, Ava Victor for Sorry Baby, which awesome. I did not think Sorry Baby was going to get any nomination, and that is sick because Ava Victor is the coolest. Jennifer Lawrence for Die My Love, Jessie Buckley, the clear favorite for Hamnet, Julia Roberts for After the Hunt, Rana Rensby for Sentimental Value, who I love. I think she's great, and Tessa Thompson for Hedda.
All right, there we go. I am a big fan of Jennifer Lawrence getting that nomination there.
You
I
saw
wish she
Die My
was in the
Love?
contention for the Oscar. Yeah, I sure
I gotta
did.
watch that one.
And uh, just a great performance. Again, it had to
Yeah.
be so exhausting what she was doing in that film.
Mhm.
So, yeah, hopefully she's able to get some more support for her Oscar run. As far
Mhm.
as best performance by a male actor in a motion picture drama, we have Dwayne Johnson, Jeremy Allen White, Joel Edgerton, Michael B. Jordan, Oscar Isaac, and Wagner Mora. So, a couple faces here that
Mhm.
are not quite in
Couple.
the running for the Oscars.
Nope.
The Rock popping up. At least he gets his Golden Globe nomination.
Mhm.
Doesn't seem like he's getting the Oscar nomination. And then Carmi, Jeremy Allen White.
I don't think he's getting the nom.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. I've been seeing a lot of ads, of 4-year consideration ads for Springsteen.
They're trying.
They're trying hard. They really
They
want
can feel it.
to
They
do
can
that.
feel that it's not going to make it, and they're trying.
Yeah.
Oscar Isaac, I think, also is not going to get a nomination.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think good for him. He gets to show up in the Golden Globes and have some fun. I'm a fan of that. But yeah, I
I think
don't
in this category at the Golden Globes, I think Wagner Moura takes it.
really.
Yeah.
Then if that's the case, then he would have to be a major. He'd be an actor
Yeah.
for the Oscars, and then
He
that's
would.
why I think he would get, because if he's a strong contender for Best Actor, they're going to put that in Best Picture, Secret
It's
Agent,
possible.
over
Yeah,
No Other
100%.
Choice. So
Yeah.
that would be huge for that film. And
But wait until we get to Best Actor for a Musical or Comedy. Okay, wait until we get there, buddy. Best
yeah,
performance by a female actor in a motion picture, musical, or comedy: Amanda Seyfried for The Testament of Anne Lee, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked for Good, Emma Stone for Begonia, which is awesome, Kate Hudson for Song Sung Blue, and Rose Byrne for If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which, more so than any other movie on this list, is 100% not a comedy. There are funny moments in that movie, but oh my god, that movie is a drama. It's crazy that she's not nominated for a drama. Doesn't matter. Rose Byrne is fantastic in this movie. Rose Byrne should win this award. I don't
wow,
think she will, but she
you're
should.
leaving behind Emma Stone.
I love Emma Stone and Begonia, but Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You is like phenomenal. If Jessie Buckley wasn't nominated for Hamnet this year, I think Rose Byrne should win the Oscar.
Yeah, there's a lot of distressed mothers. For me, I liked
Yeah.
Jennifer Lawrence's take. It's very similar films. If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, which
Mhm.
is in the basic like gist of it, the basic thrust of it. Obviously, they do different things and
Yeah.
approach it differently. But yeah,
Did you
for
watch If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You?
I did, yeah,
Did
and
you like
I
it?
think it's a very strong performance. I will say this will be an unpopular opinion because she's on the rise for sure for the Oscar campaign and everything. There were just some scenes where
Mhm.
watching it, I just felt that feeling of like I'm watching somebody perform rather than I'm believing this character is a real human being going through these emotions. I'm like, oh, I'm seeing
Really?
an actor make this choice, and whenever that happens, obviously it takes you out of it. And with Jennifer Lawrence, I didn't feel that. With Jessie Buckley, I didn't feel that, and so I feel like, yeah,
You saw Hamnet?
I think Rose Byrne is very good, but I'm down for. I think Jessie Buckley is going to take it, and
Oh
then
yeah.
I would love for Jennifer Lawrence to be able to get the same love there. But yeah, it's interesting with these 3 films in particular. Whether or not they'll all get nominated, I think would be fascinating, and then which performance people gravitate towards, because again, they're all in that same register of mothers going through it, and so it's just interesting to see what people gravitate towards. So you're
Mhm.
Rose Byrne, but you haven't seen Jennifer Lawrence's
It's
performance
the
yet.
only one I've seen. It's the only one I've
Okay, and you
seen. To be
haven't seen
fair, I
Jessie
haven't seen
Buckley yet.
Hamnet
Okay.
either. So
So yeah, I'll be curious to see how that
yeah.
affects your choices when we get closer to the actual Oscars and you have seen the rest of them. All right, let's
Mhm.
talk about best performance by a male actor in a musical or comedy. We have Ethan Hawke for Blue Moon, George Clooney for Jake Kelly, Jesse Plemons for Begonia, Lee Byung-hun for No Other Choice, Leonardo DiCaprio for One
Yep.
Battle After Another, and Timothy Chalamet for Marty Supreme. So stacked group here. I have not seen No Other Choice, but I know you have, and you very much enjoyed it. Oscar chances? Do you think this is just like a
He's
Globe
very
thing?
good in it.
He's like the sixth
I think
member here.
possibly. He's
Oh,
very good in this movie. I think Wagner Moura has a significantly better chance. Yeah, but I think Lee Byung-hun is fantastic in this film. I don't think he's going to get an Oscar nomination, but if he did, that would be really, really, really cool.
it's interesting because this one
Looking at this
here,
category,
it's going to be the who would win for
go
the
ahead.
Oscar, because right now it's like Leo and Denny, right? And
Yeah,
then I know you love Jesse Plemons. It's not happening. He's not going to win. George
he
Clooney,
should. He should. He should.
I am curious to see. Still haven't seen Jay Kelly, but I'm not hearing a lot of things for him for Oscars, so it's concerning. This could be, since there's 12 total
No.
male nominees, I don't think he's going to be able to be in the top 5. And then Ethan Hawke, a lot of chatter about Ethan Hawke getting in the 5, and then
A lot of
possibly
chatter by
being a
Ethan Hawke.
dark horse. And let me just say,
Yeah.
I haven't seen Blue Moon yet, but I'm in full support.
That'd be
I
cool. It
love
would be really cool. I
Ethan Hawke.
love Ethan Hawke. I
Every
love
just
Ethan Hawke.
interview he
That would be
has,
sick.
I watch and I'm just enraptured. I'm like, this dude
He's just a
is so
guy who
cool.
loves acting. He loves
He loves acting.
the
He loves art. He loves
principles of
life.
acting, the
You just
technique.
you feel
Yeah.
his love of life in
His Instagram's a
everything that
little
he says.
cringe, but he's really cool.
What's on his Instagram? I'm not at that level yet where I'm
I
like
don't know.
following celebrities
He just like
on Instagram. But
no, he just does like Instagram type videos that I just think are kind of cringe.
what does that
But
mean?
I think
Instagram
he's cool. I
videos.
think I love Ethan Hawke. You don't even you wouldn't know. I can't even explain it to you. You don't have
Wow.
Instagram. You don't use
What
Instagram.
does that mean though? Instagram type videos.
I can't
I
explain it
definitely
to you because you've never used Instagram. You just don't understand.
I have Instagram,
You don't
but
use it.
I don't know
You
what
know
Instagram type
everything.
videos means. Um, I'll tell you what pops up on Instagram. Subway takes. I'm getting a lot of that.
That's really
I'm
funny.
looking at Eric Andre on Subway takes right now.
That's crazy. Ryan Hill on
um,
Instagram.
so
Wow.
yeah, I don't know. I'm in full support of Ethan Hawke. Again, he's gotten to that register where I'm like, I love this guy. There's a little bit of a parasocial relationship for me where I'm like, I hope, if anything bad happens to him or anything that he does is bad, I'll be supremely disappointed.
Mhm.
But I don't think it would. I think Ethan
Yeah.
Hawke, he's
Marty
in
supremely
good
disappointed.
territory here. You say what? Marty Supreme?
I said Marty supremely disappointed.
Very nice. We talk about
Best performance by a
hold on.
female. What?
Put a pin in that. Timothy
Okay.
Chalamet's
Yeah.
press run right now.
Oh,
You see what's
dude,
going on
we
here? Is
didn't
that
talk
popping up
about
on your
that.
Instagram feed?
Yeah, legendary.
It
An
is something.
insane run,
I'll be
dude.
honest.
He's balls to the wall. Balls to the wall. Have you seen him on Jimmy Fallon with the ball people? There's a bunch of people wearing the ping pong balls in their head. That he has like a posse that walks with him. Have you
Yeah.
seen him do the Zoom meeting where he's pitching things for Marty Supreme? It's like him pitching the ad people, and he's talking about how like this is like his defining
I saw
performance.
that
This is
pop
like the,
up.
the greatest thing he's ever done,
I
and he's a
never
legend for this.
actually watched it, but I've seen it's come up on my YouTube page a couple of times where it's like the from the A24 or whatever it is, where they're
It's
like
incredible.
the his pitch meeting. But
He's making incredible choices.
I would just say, like last year, he has done this before, right? Where he's done like a
Mhm,
crazy press tour.
for sure.
Doesn't really jive with whatever the film was. Here, obviously, it's going all out on the Marty Supreme thing. The ping pong ball posse.
Mhm.
It's losing
Being
me.
cocky.
It's losing me a little
Really?
bit. The cockiness we talked about, like when he did that, the SAG, I think is what he won, and he gave that speech.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's dope. I like that. That's very cool. He's popping up. He did an interview with Cody Rhodes, and so
You love that.
he's touching
It's
all these
appealing
different
right to you.
spheres because he's done the sports thing too as well. At a certain level, though, I'm like, I don't know that all this. I feel like, which again is what you do, right? But I'm like, he's brushing up on like some of the history and the lore and everything, and then going into the interview and dropping like the boogeyman's real name and everything. And I'm like, I don't believe that Timmy Tim is actually that, in the know about all these different elements. And then he's also this rapper thing. Have you seen that as well?
I
SD
think so.
Kid.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey,
I
man.
did watch that video. That one popped up somewhere. Not good. I was not a fan of it. And so I don't know. He's trying very hard, and it's getting, eyeballs on it. Whether or
I
not
think
it
he's just playing
actually
the role, man. I think when we
converts
watch
to a
Marty
Marty
Supreme,
Supreme,
we'll understand. I think we'll
maybe.
watch the
But
movie and there will be a level of understanding there.
also, I mean, he's done this in the past, so I think he's leaning into some of it a little bit more now. But I also think he legitimately feels the way that he does in some of these interviews that he's giving. So I don't
He's
know. To
obviously playing a
me,
character, dude.
to some extent, but also no, I don't think so. Like he's
Mhm.
done. He knows how to try and get attention, and that's what he's doing for sure, and it works. But somewhere along the way, it actually tracks on to his like actual personality. Like it's not all a bit. Everything that he's done can't be a bit, especially if we've seen him do this, 2 years ago and 3 years ago. So I'm just saying it's off-putting to me. I think he's hurting his chances at this point. And so Leo's just coasting. So
Well, Leo's never been one to do a press run like that in that
yeah.
style.
Did you watch
Ever.
because they have the actors on actors right now? Have you been watching some of
I
those?
haven't watched any of them. I just saw the pairings and I thought that it was crazy.
I
I watched
watched
a little bit of Alexander Skarsgård and Stellan Skarsgård. I watched a little bit of that one because I thought that was cute.
that one's fun. I enjoyed that one. I watched the Ethan Hawke and Sydney Sweeney one, which is hilarious
Interesting.
because it literally it's just Ethan Hawke talking for like 29 of the 32 minutes that's there.
Yeah, that
And then
sounds
Sydney
right.
Sweeney tries and says something, and then it's just
Dude, that dude's a
bless her
yapper,
heart.
bro. That dude
He is a
yaps.
yapper, but again, he's so compelling. So I'm like, I'm down for this. Uh, and then there's Leo and Jennifer Lawrence. I think these are two actors that I love, and so I wanted to watch that one. And they've worked together before. They're about to work on the
Yeah,
Scorsese's new piece,
I'm excited for that one.
and
Still got to read the book.
yeah, it was an interesting conversation. I'll just say that because I've seen a
I'll
bit of
watch it.
Leo's his stuff with like PTA. He did some showing with Scorsese, and so I watched both of those. He's got good chemistry with them, obviously. For Jennifer Lawrence, she's always fun in the
Mhm.
interviews. She's always like cracking jokes and being very wry, self-deprecating stuff like that. Um, and Leo, I don't know that he was on that level there, and so there's a
Leo
funny
is every
mismatch.
time I see an interview with him, especially now in like the last 10 years, he's just not very charming. He's just like a normal dude.
Yeah, so I think
It's
I
just
don't know because
very,
he wants to
very
be more
funny.
reserved and like
Yeah,
not as open, but then it's also
yeah.
like we see him on yachts all the time with his his younger women.
Hey
So
man, hey man.
it's a clash between like how much people know of Leo and then how much
Mm.
he's not willing to put out there when he's actually on the press run. But yeah, I don't know. So the actors on actors are always a compelling little thing because that's part of the run. It's part
Yeah,
of how people are framing their narrative. And obviously, Leo doesn't need a narrative for this. It's just like the movie is incredible and he's always incredible. So I don't know. With all this, I don't know. Right now, not even having seen Blue Moon because I like Ethan Hawke the most in his press run right now. I'm going Ethan Hawke.
all right.
That's my logic there. And we'll
I
see when
remember
I watch that
I
film.
said you remember I said that when we did the draft, the Oscar draft. I said Ethan Hawke, dark horse. He might come out of the woodwork and steal it.
He might. Again, I think he's the most charming at the moment and the
Yeah.
most authentic feeling as well.
Now, best performance by a female actor in a supporting role in any motion picture at the Golden Globes: Amy Madigan for Weapons, crazy. Ariana Grande, Wicked for Good. Elle Fanning, Sentimental Value. Emily Blunt, The Smashing Machine. Inga Ibsdottir Lilias, Sentimental Value, and Tiana Taylor, One Battle After Another.
Okay, I love your little ad libs for
Yeah,
one nominee out of the six.
I just
They
think it's
just had to
crazy.
slip it in there. They're like crazy.
I think
Is
that's
he good?
crazy.
Bad? Like, what is the? It
She
sounded
is
like
good. She's good. She's good in the movie. I think she's
mhm.
a good performance. I think it's
You're not
crazy he got a nomination.
going to get nominated.
This is not the kind of performance that ever gets nominated at the Golden Globes. I think it's wild
Hmm.
because people are like thinking that she's going to get an Oscar nomination. If she does, it'll be very impressive because that is not the kind of role that comes even close to the Oscars.
Yeah, very true.
If she gets in, that is an impressive feat because that never happens. The last time that happened was Get Out with Daniel Kaluuya,
Hmm. Which was a great performance. He
which
was in
was
that.
it was a great performance and also crazy that got a nomination.
But yeah,
Also, still crazy that Daniel Day Lewis did not win for Phantom Thread. I'll never
still hanging on to
forgive.
that. Who did he lose to? Who won that?
Uh no, it wasn't Bohemian Rhapsody. I think it might have been Theory of Everything. I think it might have been Eddie Redmayne. Let me look it
Really?
up.
Because that would have been 2017 films. So the ceremony in 2018. But what I'm looking at here with the nominees for Best Supporting Actress, two from Sentimental Value.
Yep,
That bodes well in my favor. And then, of course, we
yes, it
got One
does.
About After Another, with Tiana Taylor coming in there, who I'm still not sure will take the win, but a nomination is happening. So that is also great news for me. But yeah, Weapons, Wicked for Good, and then Smashing Machine is also not, you know, I don't think a strong contender for the nominations. So we'll see how that develops.
Oh my god, it was
For
Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour, which is worse. Nominated against Timothy Chalamet in his first nomination for Call Me by Your Name. Daniel Day Lewis for Phantom Thread, one of his best performances. Daniel
haven't seen it.
Kaluuya in Get Out, which is a fantastic performance, and Denzel
Incredible.
Washington for Roman J. Israel.
Oh my god,
Gary Oldman. This is a legendary. It's a stacked best actor run right there.
it sure is. Wow. All right, best performance by a male actor in a supporting role: Adam Sandler for Jay Kelly, Benicio del Toro for One Battle After Another, Jacob Elordi for Frankenstein, Paul Mescal for Hamnet, Sean Penn for One Battle After Another, and then Stellan Skarsgård for Sentimental Value.
Dude, this is a tough one. Who do you think the fifth man is? Because I think Adam Sandler has a great story behind like a narrative to push him through. I think Benicio and Sean Penn are like magnetic,
I think they're
and I think
locks. I
Sean
think
Penn and
Benicio
Stellan
is a lock.
Skarsgård are locks.
Yeah, I think Stellan Skarsgård is a lock. Benicio, I think, is a lock now because they've talked so much on the press run about how
Mhm.
he was so impactful to the story. So I
Yeah,
think that bodes well because he's got a pretty small role, but he's like magnetic and very charming in that role. But then
a few small
also
beers.
a few small beers, uh, ocean waves, courage, Bob. So the entire impact he had on the film, like they changed so much because of how he approached that character. So I think that speaks volumes to like, okay, the support that he was able to give to the role and to
Mhm.
the film overall, like that is massive. So I think he's definitely a lock. Paul Mescal should be lead. This is insane to have him in supporting, but I think he's a lock. So I
Mhm.
think Elordi's probably out. If Jake Kelly is really weak, then Sandler may miss, but I think Jacob Elordi is not going to actually get the supporting nomination.
Yeah,
I
I
would
think that
prefer
might
it
be true.
so that I get a nom there and then
I
you
know.
miss out on Adam Sandler. But
I think Adam Sandler has too much of a narrative. Having missed out at least twice now on
yeah, that
Oscar
is kind of
nominations when
crazy.
he should have had them
That
for
is
two
insane.
incredible for dude. Punch Drunk Love and Uncut Gems, fantastic performances. Like
Yeah,
Oscar winning performances, let alone nominations. So the lack of a nomination is ridiculous and atrocious. And they do this a lot at the Oscars, where a comedian will just not be given the love because they're a silly slapstick comedian. They did the same thing with Jim Carrey. And this it would be nice to see Adam Sandler at least get a nomination here.
I agree. So I think that's ultimately what will happen. But yeah, this looks like our five for
Mm,
sure is coming from that pack right there.
yeah. Best Director Motion Picture, Chloe Zhao for Hamnet, Guillermo del Toro for Frankenstein, Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, Joachim Trier for Sentimental Value, Paul Thomas Anderson for One Battle After Another, and Ryan Coogler for Sinners. It's pretty stacked.
It's
Uh,
pretty stacked. It
I
looks like our
don't
five
know.
coming from here as well.
I don't know who the sixth man is though. I think it might be Guillermo, but I think Netflix is pushing it really hard, so maybe not. People love Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
It might be. I think Jafar Panahi takes the foreign film director nomination. I think Joachim Trier might be cut out. I
Mm,
don't know. I think Paul Thomas Anderson, Ryan Coogler, Chloe Zhao locks.
yeah, I agree with that. And then I think Panahi, again, just because of the narrative there, I mean, we all know his
Mhm.
story, right?
Yeah,
So I feel like he's also going to stay in. Then it
yeah,
becomes between Del Toro and Trier. I think again, Del Toro's just so beloved that he may be able
mhm,
to get in, and obviously Netflix pushing hard.
yeah,
But I don't know. I feel like sentimental value will squeak in there. I guess at that point, either way, it's one of my films in there. But
yeah.
I think
Either
it's
way, you get a dub.
between those two, and I want to say just with the strength of sentimental value, with again all the other like acting nominations and everything, I feel like
Mhm.
it'll go to Trier. So I think Del Toro will miss.
Yeah,
For best screenplay, we have Chloe Zhao and Maggie O'Farrell, Jafar Panahi, Joachim Trier, and Eskil Vogt, Paul Thomas Anderson, Ronald Bronstein and Josh Safdie, and Ryan Coogler. So Sinners, Marty Supreme, One Battle for Another, Sentimental Value. It was just an accident in Hamnet. So
again, these are definitely five coming straight from here.
yeah, and they'll be
I
spread
think,
amongst adapted and original at the Oscars. So they'll all get
yeah, I think
nominations.
they're all going to get nominations. Yeah,
So it comes down to again Sinners and Marty Supreme in original, and
uh-huh.
then One Bow After Another in Hamnet and adapted. So that'll be
Yeah.
the
I think
real.
Sentiment of Value also has a dog in the race for original.
I could see
That's
it.
what's tough. I think original's really tough. I think best screenplay adapted goes to Paul, Mr. Anderson. I think it goes straight to him.
You think again, just because he's definitely getting director, so they may try
Yeah.
and spread the love. But as we've seen, it's always been picture and
Yeah.
screenplay usually go together, and so
Hmm.
we'll probably go to him again. We've seen sweeps, lately as far as the picture, director, and writing. So
Hmm.
PTA could probably take it all because he's a
I
phenomenal
think he
writer
will.
as well.
He is.
So he's got like maybe one of the best like writer side and director side. Um, I don't know who else you would put
Yeah.
up there because most of our great directors, like Scorsese, Spielberg, especially the ones from the '70s, I mean, they're like the directors, not writers. Now we have a lot more writer directors, but PTA
Hmm.
again, he's like the perfect merger. So I could see that going to him for sure.
Yeah. Best original score motion picture: Alexander Desplat for Frankenstein, Hans Zimmer for F1, Johnny Greenwood for One Battle After Another, Kang Ding Ray for Sirat, Ludwig Göransson for Sinners, and Max Richter for Hamnet. Uh, Absolute crime that Driskin Fendrix from Begonia is not on here. Total crime. Absolutely criminal. If he does not get an Oscar nomination, I'll die. I'll just die on the spot because one of the best, one of the best scores, in my opinion, of the last several years. I think
Wow.
it is incredible. I think Frankenstein, as much as I love Alexander Desplat, does not belong on this list. F1, as much as I love Hans Zimmer, does not belong on this list. Sinners, One Battle After Another, locks for this nomination. And I don't know enough about Surratt, and I have not seen Hamnet, but I've heard good things about Hamnet, the score.
Yeah, Hamnet's getting nominated for sure.
Okay.
And then Surat is interesting. I really want to see that. I don't know when that's coming out, but I've heard many great things, and it's been like
Yeah,
building
me too.
steam over time. So I want to see that. But yeah, Sinners and One After Another for sure. Locks. F1. I really do enjoy it, but I don't see that for the Oscar. And then Frankenstein is more likely to be in the Oscar race, but I kind of agree with you. Nothing about that score really stuck out to me. So uh,
Begonia.
we'll see. And again,
What you
Begonia,
mean,
I've
Begonia?
told you this. I think it is a great score. I don't know that matches the film very much, but
You're so wrong,
it
dude.
is a good score on its own.
The whole thing is hyped up because of that score. Oh my god,
Best
it's so powerful.
original song. We have Dream is One from Miley Cyrus, Avatar. Golden, K-pop Demon Hunters. I Lied to You, and Sinners. No Place Like Home, Wicked for Good. The Girl in the Bubble, Wicked for Good. And Train Dreams from Train Dreams. So,
I don't really have a dog in this race. I think Sinners is gonna win, but I think K-pop Demon Hunters is like close behind. I think it's kind of neck and neck between those
it's like
two.
the most well known, so it
Yeah,
could win, or people could be like, I'm tired of this. Let's go for one that,
yeah.
I Lied to You is very much a major set piece.
Mm.
And then the Wicked ones. You don't think either of those will take it?
I mean, I have no idea. I haven't listened to them, but I
Oh yeah.
think in a musical that has so many famous songs, two brand new songs, I don't think are gonna win an award. You know, and you can't nominate those other ones, so I think they're just gonna get
Gee.
noms. I really hope Train Dreams gets nominated. I think it's a really good song, and I would really like to see Nick Cave perform at the Oscars. I think that would be awesome.
So cinematic and box office achievement. We have Avatar,
Stupid award.
F1, K-pop Demon Hunters, Mission Impossible, Final Reckoning, Sinners, Weapons, Wicked for Good, and Zootopia
I think
2.
it has to go to Sinners, right? It's got to.
Yeah, I guess they go to Sinners. I don't know because they did Barbie that one year. I don't really know
Sinners
what one
is
last
the only
year.
one nominated, and Wicked for Good are the only two nominated for. Oh, and Avatar. I've proven myself wrong. I still think Sinners should be the one that gets it. I think looking at this list, Sinners and Wicked for Good are the only two that stand for a real Oscar nomination here.
Hmm.
And I think Sinners was just too, even though like there were obviously bigger box office achievements here, I think it's just too massive of a hit for what it was. It's like too big of a blockbuster here to
Yeah.
miss. You know,
Again, I have no
the dark
idea
horse here, I
how
think,
they
is Mission
actually do it.
Impossible because it's the last Mission Impossible. I think that's the dark horse.
Yeah, I don't think that's even in contention.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know what they go for in this if they want to try and because it's not actually the box office that they go off of, so it's just
mm,
off of vibes for when that's like a
yeah,
hit. But yeah, Sinners obviously was a juggernaut and wasn't really anticipated to be. Weapons did really well. F1 did better than expected. And K-pop Demon Hunters again, which barely was in the box office race at all
yeah,
since it was a Netflix film.
yep,
That could possibly do it. Avatar hasn't even come out. That's hilarious. They're like, yeah, let's just nominate it anyway. Um, so compelling stuff. No idea. Doesn't really matter. It's a fake award anyway. But
yeah,
all right. So that's for the movies. We'll cover the TV when it actually happens, but it's just gonna be a
mm.
rerun of the Emmys as always. So we can skip over that for now. So what are your thoughts with the Golden Globe? Any crazy surprises? Are we feeling like
Ava Victor
we
for
kind of
Sorry
know?
Baby, really positive surprise, loved it.
Mhm.
Everything else, pretty much exactly what I expected. Pretty much lined up what I thought it would be. I think there's still going to be some changes between now and the Oscars. Obviously, I mean nominations for Oscars are in a month. The voting ends in a month or starts
Mhm.
in a month, one of the two. So this next month is like the award season to be watching because that's where everybody's opinions are going to be impacted. And as we saw with the Golden Globes last year, very famously with Demi Moore, the speech you give at the Golden Globes. can create a narrative that carries you straight to the Oscars and makes you a front runner. Even though the
Very
Golden
true.
Globes is still like it's voted upon by 80 or 90 people that are the Hollywood Foreign Press, it's like very much not like an embodiment of the Hollywood, echelon of people. It is notable because it is such a famous event. It's such a televised event, and it is a very early event. You know, in terms of award season stuff. And so for films, the Golden Globes are huge in the Oscar race because your speech, if you win, can propel you right into first place.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, Demi Moore didn't clinch that win, but she was damn close.
She was
It
extremely
was
close.
a
Yeah.
huge toss up.
In a way we didn't think so. And again, that's like a movie that those types of roles, you don't
Yeah.
normally get that nomination.
If
So
Amy Madigan wins Best Supporting Actress at the Golden Globes, if she gives a good enough speech, that could carry her to being a front runner in the Best Supporting Actress nomination there, which would be crazy. Because
very
that
true.
of all the acting, that and then the Best Actor run are the two that I think are the most contentious this year. Of like, just a true toss up. I
Hmm.
think Best Actress is pretty solid for Jessie Buckley, and I think Best Supporting Actor is really coming down 50-50 Sean Penn, Stellan Skarsgård.
Really, you think so? Again,
I think Benicio
Benicio
del
he's
Toro
coming
is a
up.
dark horse, but I still think it's always been just those two. I think the only thing counting against Sean Penn is that he's just not doing any press. I just don't think he cares.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna win because he's already gotten Oscars and he's not doing the press and
Yeah,
he's a typical
his
personality anyway. And so I think
yeah,
people will be
he's
like,
definitely
he's
fallen
fine.
off a bit for sure.
Yeah.
He was the lead
Um,
for a long time, and since I've seen Sentimental Value, and since Benicio del Toro has been so awesome in everything that he's been doing lately, Sean Penn's definitely fallen back a bit. I still think the powerhouse performance that Sean Penn gives and how integral it is to the story, I think he's still very much present in the race.
yeah, I think the two. I think it's Benicio del Toro and Stellan Skarsgård now,
I think
and we'll
Stellan's
see.
going to win.
I haven't seen it yet. We'll see how it goes, but yeah, I think it's between them two.
Yeah.
Um, but
Your
yeah,
thoughts on the Golden Globes?
I think it'll be interesting. So we're not going to know again one battle after another's going to win, but it'll come
Yeah.
down to whether it's Hamnet versus Sinners in that drama race. We'll see how strong Sinners might be and whether or not it will
Mhm.
really have momentum in the Oscars. Or again, if it goes home goose egg, then maybe that'll spell disaster for it at the Oscars as far as wins. And then with the actor, we'll have to see because they're all there in the comedy slash musical. Or Ethan Hawke versus Leonardo
Yeah.
versus Timothy. So we're gonna have to see who comes out on top for that. But yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be interesting. We'll definitely watch and give our thoughts afterwards. But I'm compelled by this year's race, even though
Yeah.
one battle
It's
for
still
another
any
can say
man's
it or
game for
not.
most categories.
It seems very interesting, yeah, for a lot of the categories. So
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Let's talk about Wake Up Dead Man. Let's talk about some mystery
Well,
shit. Let's run into it.
we got to do our box office breakdown for December 5th to the 7th.
Oh my
And
god, we've
first
been
place,
talking for an hour and we still didn't do the box office breakdown.
our first
Oh
place
my god.
is Five Nights at Freddy's 2 with 64 million.
In second place was Zootopia 2 with 43.4 million.
Wicked for Good, 17.3 million, bringing its domestic to around 300 mil.
Then the Jujutsu Kaisen movie Execution with 10 million.
Now You See Me, Now You Don't, 3.4 million.
Kill Bill, The Whole Bloody Affair, coming in sixth with 3.4 million, over 20 years after it came out.
Indeed, Eternity with 2.7 million.
Hamnet with 2.3.
Durandar, 1.9 million.
And Predator Badlands rounding out the top 10 with 1.8 million, bringing its domestic total to 88 million.
So it doesn't seem like it'll cross that century mark before it heads out of theaters, but did really well. We'll see if it does get a sequel. I don't think any announcement has come out yet, but good for them. As for our box office predictions for December 12th to the 14th, nothing new coming out. We have Zootopia 2 or Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Which do you think is going to come out on top in the next
I
weekend?
think Zootopia too. I think Five Nights at Freddy's does not. I think it has like a Marvel level cut right in
A
half.
hefty drop.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the people who
probably.
wanted to see it saw it and they're not coming out for weekend two. I think cut down straight to 30 million.
Dang. Yeah, maybe even fall below that. I can't
Yeah.
remember what the
Brutal
first
drop.
Five Nights had, but it was like a massive drop. It was like crazy, like well
I
over
think this will be
60%.
even worse.
If that's the case, then yeah, it'll
Yeah,
be
straight down.
we can see 20 mil for Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and its second weekend. Zootopia 2 seems it's gonna have really good legs, so
Oh yeah, it does.
I think it can come out on top. But we
All
will
right,
see.
let's talk about Wake Up Dead Man. Let's talk about some mystery stuff. Run it back.
Indeed. All right. So Wake Up Dead Man, the third
Wake Up Dead Man.
film in the Knives Out trilogy, now exclusive to Netflix
Mm-hmm.
since he had that massive deal after the first one was such a success. So, Dylan, what are your thoughts on the first one, Knives Out?
It's really funny we're talking about this because we just talked about The Last Jedi,
Indeed.
and I talked about how much I liked The Last Jedi and how
Yes.
much I enjoyed the choices that Rian Johnson made.
Hmm.
Following that, Knives Out gets announced. We see the trailers. You know me, huge fan of the whodunit genre.
Oh, yeah.
Love it. Big fan of mysteries. Agatha
Hmm.
Christie, the best.
Indeed.
And I watched this trailer and I go, oh my god, Rian Johnson, who made Looper, which is a great movie, and The Last Jedi, which I really liked. Looking forward to this. I was very, very hyped. If you can recall way back to when Knives Out came out, I was very, very hyped. I think it was 2019, right? That's the year it
Yes,
came out.
sir. Hmm.
If you can recall, I was very, 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 very hyped when that movie came out.
Hmm.
And I saw it and I was disappointed. And I had the exact opposite interaction with it that I did with The Last Jedi, where everybody loved Knives Out except me. And I was like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
Well, except you and me,
You
because
also did not like Knives Out.
I also did not like Knives Out. And we brought that up when we did Glass Onion, which was like in our
Mhm.
grab bag episode way back
Yeah.
when. But we talked about how we were not big fans of Knives Out. We never did an episode on it because we weren't. Well, we were doing the pod, but I don't know what happened where we didn't do an episode on
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
If it was on the radio show or not. But
You're on the radio show.
we weren't able to cover it specifically. But yeah, ever since I'd seen it then, I was like, yep, wasn't a big fan. We watched Glass Onion. We both liked that one a lot more than Knives Out.
Glass Onion is great.
And then now we had Wake Up Dead Man coming up. And so I revisited the first Knives Out.
Okay. Does it hold up?
And let me tell you, Dylan,
Yeah.
I was wrong. I get it now.
What? What?
Knives Out is phenomenal.
Should
It's
I watch it?
great. It is
Should I watch
actually
it?
incredible. It's the writing of it is so tight. The pacing, the rhythm of it is just so smooth. It propels you
Can
along
I just say
beautifully. Yeah, yeah.
the reason I didn't like it, I want to elaborate on it from what
Yeah,
I remember.
spoilers for the whole Knives Out thing because we're about
Yes,
to
I
dive
have
into
not
why.
seen Knives Out since it originally came out, I don't think. I disliked it because of my love for the whodunit genre, and I respect the attempt that Rian Johnson made of combining a whodunit with a how catch 'em and making them happen at the same time. I respect
Hmm.
the attempt that was made. I just don't think it was successful because I don't think that was enough of either to really stick the landing. And I
Hmm.
think the third act, in my opinion, just kind of falls apart. I think Benoit Blanc does not really have a place in the story compared to the other two movies where I think he is very much integral to the plot. I think he's just kind of useless in the first one.
Hmm.
I think it becomes painfully way too obvious that Chris Evans is the bad guy too quick to the point where any kind of twist at the end is kind of pointless because it's just he's the only other character left after like the halfway point, so it's kind of obvious that it's him.
Hmm.
And I think the Hugh did this is atrocious. I've
So I
always
will say
thought
this.
that, and I still do.
I've always thought that his choice to flip the genre on its head and have us find out,
Mm,
so we think that it was
mm,
actually Ana de Armas who kills by accident
mm.
the head guy, that was brilliant, and I loved it, and I loved now
I
doing
think
the
it's a
How
good
Catch
choice.
'Em, where
Yeah.
it's like she's the one that we're following, trying to avoid our lovely detective who's on the trail,
Mm.
and she's trying to
I think
like
it's
cover her
clever.
tracks and throw him
Yeah.
off, and they're partners, but she's again the one
Mhm.
trying to make sure she doesn't get found out. I think that is so brilliant, and then it allows you to still have that secondary mystery underneath of like, okay, well, who actually did try to kill, but
Mhm.
unsuccessfully, the head of the family, and so I thought that was absolutely brilliant. Always was a big fan of that. And then I always think the cast, like the ensemble cast, is
They're
dynamite.
great.
Like they're
They're
truly
every
incredible.
one of these movies, they're dynamite. Every single one
When,
of these movies. I love the concept of a Benoit Blanc mystery every couple of years where it's just the current like massive celebrities who have just become famous, who are the most famous at this moment, coming together and making like a fun, quirky mystery film with Daniel Craig at the center. And it's been great, like as a concept, every single time. We have this one with Ana de Armas and Michael Shannon, who was getting really hot from Shape of Water, and you have Jamie Lee Curtis, who's like a huge like powerhouse. Ana de Armas, who's like just now like this juggernaut in 2019 with Blade Runner 2049 and a bunch of other stuff,
Hmm.
and like these like great people. And then you get Glass Onion, and you have Dave Bautista, who is getting bigger and bigger every year, and you have Edward Norton, who's been a star for a long time, who is just starting to come back into good graces. Like seeing all these people come in is just so much fun. Leslie Odom Jr., great choice, great addition to that cast. And then you have
Janelle
Wake Up
Monet,
Dead Man.
love her.
Yes, yes, Janelle Monet. And then you have Wake Up Dead Man with Josh O'Connor, who has found a bunch of fame recently. Callie Spaney, who's found a bunch of fame recently. You have he always brings back people who have been famous for a long time, who maybe haven't had a lot of hits recently. Thomas Hayden Church got to be have a really good role in Wake Up Dead Man, which I really enjoyed. Who else? Kerry Washington is great in this.
Jeremy Renner,
Uh,
Josh
Jeremy Renner,
Brolin,
dude, Glenn Close,
Glenn Close. Hmm.
fantastic. Like
Yeah, it's a
he's
great
really
concept.
good at a
It's
really really fun idea
it's
of
this and White
pairing like these
Lotus
legends. Yes,
that
yes, it
every
is
actor wants to
absolutely.
be a part of because it's a great acting showcase. It's a great ensemble. I will say, we'll get to this, but Wake Up Dead Man, I think, is by far the weakest of the ensembles. But
Okay,
Knives
I
Out,
could agree.
revisiting that, I was like, this is dynamite. Like they're all incredible. You
Mhm.
get a lot of time with each of them. They put on great performances. So that always worked for me. I think the comedy worked for me. Definitely worked for me this time
Okay.
around. Um, my whole issue was, in fact, the third act. I
Yes.
thought Hugh did this was atrocious. I still think it's atrocious. And I think the donut thing,
Yes,
it's
it
a
is.
donut in a donut. We talked about that. It's just dumb, to borrow from Glass Onion. It's not clever. It's not funny. It's
Yeah.
not funny. It's just dumb.
Um,
I still think it's stupid.
I
But
like it in retrospect because we went to Zach Pyle's Oscar party that year, and he put donut holes in donuts as part of like the snack table. And in
mhm.
retrospect, I like it now. That was
Well,
a
I'm
really great
glad.
Oscar party. He made Ramdam for Parasite and a bunch of other like themed things for that year. It was really good. That was a really clever thing for Zach
Best
Pyle
Oscar
to do.
party ever with
It was the
Parasite.
best Oscar party ever.
That
Parasite
was
winning,
awesome.
and then we watched David Lynch's short film immediately after,
That's the
where
most
he's in
iconic.
a room
We
interviewing a
need to bring that
monkey.
back. We need to call them up and be like, we need another one. We need to run this back. One after another would also be a fun because everyone would be like happy that one wins, like we were with
Yeah,
Parasite. So anyway, I still think those are dumb. The donut thing irked me less this time around. I'm just like, okay,
yeah,
whatever. The Hugh did this. It still irked me a lot. I still think it's very stupid. There's a
yeah,
couple
dude,
things
it's
in Wake Up Dead
bad.
Man too that he does these little like they're just like he's such a skilled writer. He does a lot of clever things, and then there's just some things here and there where it's just like this is middle school stuff. What are you doing? Like why? So Hugh did this. I still think is very dumb.
Yeah,
Um,
he
but
just cut every once in a while. He'll just cut a corner real quick and hope you
yeah,
don't notice.
but his whole extravagant telling of how everything happened, following
Mm.
along with it this time, I was like, nope, that all works. And then I think the social commentary of it as well
Yeah,
works really well. Like there's the running gag of everyone saying, I believe her name's Marta, but they're all like, oh yeah, she's from Venezuela or she's from Brazil, she's from Mexico. Like none of them actually know where she's from and where her
yeah.
family's from. And then they also always do this like snide little remark of like, we wanted you at the funeral, but I got outvoted. They all say that, and then obviously it's no one actually wanted her there. They don't actually see her as part of the family. Um,
Mhm.
and so I thought that
I still
stuff
love. I will say,
worked
I still
really
love the
well.
ending where she has the house. I
It's an
still love the
incredible
ending.
ending.
Yeah,
Like
where she's looking down at them from the balcony is a great ending.
mhm. I think that's great, and just the basic message of it too, of the head of the family was already cutting all of them out of his will, and then had already put Marta in charge of it. But then when that mistake happens, which wasn't actually a mistake, which is part of the tragedy as well, is like she actually did give him the right medication um,
Yeah, and he ended up killing himself for nothing.
for nothing, but he wanted to protect her and make sure she got out of it. And then Benoit Blanc is saying, and you mentioned this, and they do say in the actual thing something about like the arc of gravity's rainbow or whatever. He's like, yeah, I just follow the trail and end up at the end, and it all falls at my feet, which I do like in retrospect of. how he wasn't like on the trail going crazy, putting all things together. He just let things play out. He let Marta play out because he knew from the beginning that she had something to do with the death, but that she wasn't the killer. And so he just wanted to let it all play out and see how it goes. And because she was a good person and could have at various points actually succeeded in like covering the trail and not been found out as what we presume to be the killer of the head of the family, because she was a good person, she would have accepted those consequences. But because
Mhm.
she's such a good person, again, it wasn't actually like her consequences to suffer. And we find out that it was Chris Evans that did it. And then he has this whole moment of trying to like stab her with the knife, but it's a fake knife, someone that uh, has the retractable
Yeah.
blade. And so all of that I think works. I think that like little message there and that exchange that they have of like she's a good person and she was caught up in this game with this whole family and everything, but she just did what was right, and was able to benefit from it at the end of the day. And that whole family as well. Chris Evans, who hates his
Mhm.
family, like he's effectively kicked out from them. They all hate him. They have beef, but the family will still rally together against an outsider, Marta, who was the only one that was like truly compassionately in a genuine like relationship with the head of the family, like actually seeing him as a
Mhm.
person and treating him kindly. I just think all that works. I'm like, I love the message, and the film itself is like crazy entertaining. Again, it
Mhm.
moves so
Yeah, it is.
swiftly, beautifully,
They've
and
always
again,
been all three of them are filmed great. Like very entertaining
exactly,
to watch.
yeah, a lot of just great shots in there, and the genre switch up is great. So I've come around on Knives Out. I actually
Yeah.
think it's phenomenal. I need to, I
I'll
guess,
rewatch
rewatch
it.
Glass Onion.
I
Um,
love Glass Onion. I
but
think
I
it's
put
great.
Knives Out over Glass Onion based on my memory of it
Were
because
you?
I had issues with Glass Onion as well in the third act. Um,
Sure. Yeah. It's just dumb. It's just
it's
plain
just
dumb.
dumb. So yeah, I think I don't know. Knives Out. A lot of those issues have been smoothed over.
Yeah.
Again, my two central issues are still there, but
I think
I
my
can
issue
forgive them and
with
move on.
I think my issue with Benoit Blanc specifically as a detective, having seen three of these movies now, is that he's definitely more so than any other literary or fictional detective is like a detective of character and finds the individual who has the most character and like deems them his sidekick inherently for the nature of the storytelling
Yeah.
and is passionately on their side throughout the thick of it. And I think that's the most painfully obvious during Wake Up Dead Man, where there are multiple times where I thought genuinely maybe Josh O'Connor did do it. Like I
Hmm.
thought that would be kind of a cool little twist that Josh O'Connor set up to be the sidekick, like Janelle Monáe and Ana de Armas are in the other two. And it turns out he is the killer, which is something that I've seen happen in certain whodunits where the sidekick, the detective's friend character ends up being the killer, and I think that that's like a cool twist sometimes. And I thought maybe he leaned in on that for Wake Up Dead Man,
Hmm.
and it just didn't happen. I will say of the three, I think Wake Up Dead Man has the most compelling mystery in the sense that I genuinely didn't know who it was going to be until the very end,
Hmm.
and I'm not sure if that's good in the sense that he really threw up a lot of like smoke screens to really confuse, obfuscate who it could have been, or if it's bad in the sense that there weren't genuinely enough clues in the beginning for me to actually put it together myself.
Hmm.
I think there were. I think the we're just gonna get the spoilers for Wake Up Dead Man now. Uh, I think the only clue that was really set up to really reveal that it was Martha is the fact that the the demon head was sewn onto his clothes is something that maybe you could have picked up on earlier in the story because she's the one
Hmm.
who very explicitly in the Josh O'Connor narration in the beginning is the one who does everything in the place, including sewing the clothes.
Yep.
I think it's the only clue that sticks out to be like point right at Martha. Everything other than that, it's
Or
like
the when she does the confession and
yes, and the
and
confession,
he comes
yes,
out and he's like shook, and so you're
yes.
like, okay, something
I'm
happened
not
there.
gonna lie. I thought they like fooled around the confession booth when I was first watching it. I was like, he comes out and he's like shaking, and I was like, what did they do in there?
But didn't we know by that point he can't have an erection
I think we
or
learn after
something?
that point,
Oh, okay.
which is also very funny. Okay, let's talk about Wake Up Dead. Let's start from the beginning. Josh O'Connor begins the narration by really laying down the entire story, setting up the whole thing. It's like a 40-minute opening narration. You learn
Yeah,
all of the characters, all
which
of
is
the
more
background.
traditional of its approach to like the murder
Yeah.
mystery thing, which is compelling.
And I fuck with it. I think it's a great way to open. I think it's a great way to learn all the characters and how their relationship to one another. And I think it's a great way to kind of position Josh O'Connor as the sidekick character for Benoit Blanc.
Yes.
Uh, I would agree with you that I think this is the weakest supporting cast, and I think the reason is because they aren't given enough time to really shine in group settings together. They're just not around each other that often, which is
Exactly.
unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because in the whole point of Knives Out is the family is always together, and the whole point of Glass Onion is the friends are always together. And in this one, the religious zealots are almost never in the same room as one another. It's just always them doing their own solo stuff, and some of them shine and some of them don't.
Yeah.
I think Jeremy Renner, God bless him, he's trying, but I think he doesn't quite land the character very
Yeah.
well. Granted, he was, you know, slammed by a snowplow a few years ago. So
Yeah. It's
to be
tough.
honest, he looks way better than I thought he would.
That's what I'm
So
saying because you can see there's some parts where like, oh,
when he
but then it's
walks,
also
yeah,
like the fact that he's actually walking is like incredible. So
yeah, he's in great shape for a guy who got run over by a snowplow. You know,
yeah,
he's moving pretty great. Um, I think Kerry Washington has moments. I think I think
I,
sometimes not.
yeah, I would say her big, moment, her big scene. I'm like this. It's a
I'm
little
not a
much.
fan of that scene now.
Yeah,
I think the guy who plays her son, her quote unquote son, great.
yeah, I think it's pretty good. I
I think I
was
like him a lot.
uncompelled ultimately by him, but I think yeah, there's never like a false note in his
Mhm.
performance.
I
So
think
I think
great.
he's
I
solid.
think Callie Spaney underutilized.
Very much so, because again, he's done this a while, and I feel like it gets a little more obvious each time when he's like, there's characters that he doesn't actually want to like be bad, and so he'll try and make it more sympathetic. And for her, it was like clear that that was happening, and I think it worked. I think her performance was solid. Her like predicament
Mhm.
um, of like wanting to get better, and then putting her trust and faith and all money into this church and behind Monsignor
I was
Wicks.
very convinced for a long time she was the killer
Oh,
when I was
really?
watching the movie. Yeah, I was like,
I
it's got
didn't.
to be her
Not
because
even.
the reveal of her walking and not being injured seems like something that seems like something that a
Glenn
Hollywood director would
Close.
do.
Glenn Close screaming when she starts walking is hilarious.
Yeah, that is
Um,
hilarious. I can walk, Martha. It just hurts.
I
Glenn
think
Close
it's
like,
really funny.
ah, it's a miracle, dude. It's very very funny.
Um, I didn't think I didn't think any of them because I was like none of them have a motive until we see that one video, and then it's like only
Yeah,
two of them have a motive after that point because he goes and he's like, "You're a drunk doctor and you are operating on all these people," and then he goes to somebody else and he just says something like very casual of
yeah.
like the Kaylee Spaney. He's like, "Oh, something like I can't heal you or whatever." It's like,
I can't hear you.
okay,
Sucks. You give me a
yeah,
bunch of. Well, that's kind of like the motive of like I'm mad at you. You stole all my money.
yeah,
Sure,
personally mad at
maybe.
her, but his
But
whole thing of
Jeremy
like,
Renner being the
I'm gonna
doctor who's going
leave.
to lose his entire life and go to prison is a
Yeah,
much more compelling motive than everybody else in the room.
exactly. So it's like, hello. And then I don't know what that whole, I guess, again, the whole hypocrite thing. I wasn't really jiving with the whole, like, Kerry Washington is raising her illegitimate brother as her son, and it's actually Monsignor
Mhm,
Wicks's child that we find out
mhm,
later on. Like, none of that really just messed with me. I wasn't all that
sure.
compelled. And then
Andrew Scott also not a fan of him in this one.
yeah, also another thing, again, that's part of the I mentioned here. He's always
That
done
was
like
tough.
the commentary. I mean, we know Ryan Johnson's political leanings. It's not like you and I are opposite to them, but
Yeah,
in each of the films, he like makes it very prominent. So he'll just have one like right wing character stand in, and then has them say some absurd stuff. With this one, it was more like Psy, trying to be an obvious grifter, and then here which he didn't have much screen time, didn't have much going on. But again, his whole thing is like a book, and he was going to get outed for being a hack writing a book that was like based on the town, but he wasn't very good.
yeah,
Like, it just wasn't compelling at all either way.
yeah. It was not a motive. You are a bad writer is not a motive.
Yeah. So I just didn't really care about all that stuff. So yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with there wasn't enough like group scenes for the ensemble to really shine, and then I think just individually, like each of them, they just weren't really suspects. Like
Mhm.
from the get go, I was like, it's either Glenn Close or it's the Samson. It's the gardener. It's like one of those two.
Yeah,
Because we get told very early, oh, the gardener's like an actual good person. I'm like, so he's our suspect number one. And then Glenn Close, because like, well, she's the one that's actually like running everything.
mhm.
Um, and then obviously you get pulled into the idea of, well, did he fake his own death? But then even then, I was like, okay, well, the only one that would like help him with that would have been
Mhm.
Glenn Close. But for me, with the mystery,
Yeah.
especially in this one, I was like, I don't care that much about the like how it all shakes out. Obviously, I want to know what happens, but I was very compelled by the Josh O'Connor storyline, like Father Judd. I think they
He's
give a very
great.
interesting central like dilemma for him. And there's
Yes.
two scenes in here that are knockouts that deal with
Mhm.
Josh O'Connor. The first is the first time Benoit Blanc comes into the church, and they just have that exchange, and he's like genuinely interested in this newcomer. He has no idea who
Mhm.
he is yet. He's talking about his complicated family life, and he's asking him, "Well, did you grow up religious?" And then Benoit Blanc gives his sort of take on why he's not a big fan of the religion, um, and then how like everything with the cathedral is very geared towards creating this effect in him. Like, oh yeah, clearly I'm meant to be like humbled here and taken by awe at everything. And then Josh O'Connor responds with like, well, yeah, that's the point. And I forget the exact phrasing of the line, but he says something to the effect of like, is the storytelling that we do with the cathedral, with the robes, with all the ceremonial elements, is that us trying to convince you of this lie? Or is it us trying to express something that otherwise can't be expressed but still arrives at that truth through the storytelling?
Yeah.
And I was
Is
like,
it an
that's just
art
a,
form?
a beautiful exchange.
Mhm.
And then there's a later point where they're in the midst of trying to find who the murderer is. They have this clue of the devil's apple, and
Mhm.
so they're trying to figure that out. And they're also calling the secretary
Mhm.
of I don't know, I guess the company that would open up the Lazarus door, and they
Yeah.
needed the machinery to do that. So they're trying to see who actually put that call, because it was done before the death. So whoever put that call in had to have known. Um, and then the secretary starts asking for Josh O'Connor's help. She's like, "Oh, Father Judd, can you like listen to me and help me out?" And then we see in this very beautiful like long shot of him. He was initially trying to like get her off the call, like, "Hey, I need to follow this lead. We need to do something." But then he realizes how much she's in need, and then decides to follow his purpose in life, which he brings up many times of like, "I need to be there for this person." And then he exits the room. An amount of time has passed because Benoit Blanc is in there checking his watch and everything. Then he comes out and he's still on the phone, like finishing up his prayer for
Mhm.
that secretary. And then after that, he like shifts and is like, I need to go back to my purpose. Like you can continue looking for who the killer is, but I need to be there for my flock, essentially. I was like, these are
Mhm.
two incredible moments. I love the scenes. I love
Yeah, they're
the
great.
like the sentiment behind them of him being like, I want to be there for people,
Mhm.
um, and like that is my calling and that is my purpose. That's what I'm good at. And so, yeah, Josh O'Connor's performance throughout this whole film, I was amazed by it. Again, him in
He's amazing.
Challengers, I thought he
Mhm.
was great, especially in, like rewatching that again. He's such a big part of why that film really does work. And then for me, I know you're not quite a fan of that, but
Yeah.
in this film as well, like his performance is there's just something about him that is like
He's
it
so much charm and
pulls you in.
charisma.
It's
Yeah.
like the charm and charisma, but it's also just like a softness and a tenderness to him
Yeah.
that you're like
He's
you just
vulnerable.
you just believe, yeah,
He's
all that he's
genuinely
saying.
vulnerable. Yeah.
And so yeah, I thought it was a magnificent performance from him. And so I was really tuned into that. I was like, I want to see this character arc play out. I don't care so much about like the mystery and like how exactly did they do it. I wanted to know like where is he going to end up at the end of this. And I think where they took that was also really magnificent. With Benoit Blanc deciding to rather than be the showman and solve the case, show everyone how it was done. He decides to follow Josh O'Connor's lead and doesn't actually reveal it and allows for Martha to come up and give her confession to Father Judd so that one, we can hear how it all happened. But then number two, she can be, uh, forgiven in that last moment by Father Judd.
Mhm.
So I thought that was really well done. How about you for the mystery when it all actually like came together and all the pieces were put into place? Did you feel a little like eh, or were you like, oh, that is
No,
really
I
compelling?
liked it. I thought it was very neat. I think the mystery behind how the murder was committed and like trying to solve that part of it, I think is very unique. I think the mystery behind like the myth of Wicks, of him coming back to life and trying to discover that, and like them finding Jeremy Renner's body in the acid with Wicks choking him down. I think all that's really really cool. I think the truth of it all is very very cool. Um, At first I didn't like that it was Martha because I felt like that was just too obvious. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Like it harkens back to the first Knives Out where it's like, obviously, I mean, Glenn Close is in the whole fucking thing, like start to finish. Of course, it's her, and like, of course, it was Chris Evans. Chris Evans is the only character left after the halfway point. Like at a certain point,
Right.
it just becomes a little obvious. But I think the like revelation of the truth of Wix's mother and her like relation to that gem of trying to find this apple and
Hmm.
tearing the church apart trying to find it and not being able to find it and ultimately becoming like torn asunder because of it, and the role that Martha has in that I think is very very clever.
Hmm.
And I think Martha's ultimate like confession and the absolvement of her guilt I think is beautiful, with Father Judd not only convincing her to forgive herself and to forgive Wix and to forgive all these other people, but to forgive uh who's it, the harlot whore? Just a hat on a hat.
The Harlot Horror, yes. But I love the way he does it too, because I don't think until that point we actually know what her name is, but her name is Grace. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, this is one of those moments too where I'm like, a little middle school level, but also it just hits. Like it works
Yeah.
because this whole exercise here is her forgiving, giving grace to people.
Mhm.
And the one that she needed to do that most with was, the original sin of this whole thing uh, of grace when, she needed somebody to be there for her. And instead, as a child, she was rage baiting Grace and then got attacked and everything. And then we saw how that all played out. But, if
Mhm.
back then she would have been extending a little more grace, maybe things would have been different. Now, obviously, many years later, she can do only that, right? Giving grace to her, and forgiving, and then forgiving herself as well for
Mhm.
her role in it. So I thought that was great. It was like it's just very beautiful
Yeah.
way to showcase that gesture. And then having Benoit Blanc again being the one that decides to do that, even though he is non-religious, he still sees like the benefit that it can have for one Martha, and then for Father Judd as well.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I also like how Father Judd, like his presence, is kind of what kicks off everything here because he's the
Yeah.
one that encourages her to, or kind of just challenges her to like, okay, we'll go and give a confession without fear, and then she does, and then that sets off this whole thing of
Mhm.
he, Monsieur Wiggs is gonna find the devil's apple and all that, and then she goes through this whole crazy plan to kill him off, and all of it is because of Father Judd's initial presence and
Yeah.
trying to, uh, tend to the flock in a different way, which obviously is a better way, but was still a way that resulted in all this.
Yeah.
So
I feel like
I
in
like
this
that he
one,
gets
like in a
closure on
lot,
it.
yeah, in all these movies, there's like a lot of moving pieces, which I think is very clever. And I think in this one more than the other two, I think the moving pieces all tend to add up to something of value in terms of the truth and the
Hmm.
lesson. I think everything comes together in a way that I think is clever and poignant and ultimately in service of the theme that they're trying to get to in terms of religion and its place in life and its place in people and the forgiveness that's supposed to go hand in hand with it, especially when the theme of forgiveness is antithetical to the theme of solving a murder mystery, which is what Judd's whole character arc is going on, is realizing this isn't my place. I'm not here to punish somebody. I'm not here to make somebody atone for their sins. I'm here to provide forgiveness, and it's God's place to provide punishment. It is, society's place to create that atonement for somebody. It is my place just to forgive. So I really have no place in this mystery anymore. And he tries to remove himself, and then he gets thrust back into it because he happens to stumble upon he just stumbles upon the rest of the mystery and becomes enthralled by the myth of Wix.
Hmm.
I think it's clever. I enjoyed it, and also just start to finish entertaining. I thought I was entertained. I think there are moments where maybe like the story gets a little bogged down with characters that aren't very important ultimately, that don't really serve the plot in any way.
Hmm.
But I can forgive it. I mean, he's just trying to throw more moving pieces to make it a little. It's smoke screens, It's throwing other suspects out there. I
Yeah.
just wish they had a bigger role, either in service of the theme or in service of the mystery. And I think Andrew Scott and Callie Spaney just don't really do much of either. I think Callie Spaney a little bit in terms of the theme, in terms of forgiving herself and like put moving onward, where she's able to like play violin again or viola or whatever it is, or cello, upright bass, whatever. And
Right.
I do think it's funny when Andrew Scott finally sells his book, and the entire line is people dressed like John Goodman in The Big Lebowski. I think that is
Yeah,
funny,
it's a good
and
little
he's
gag. Yeah.
disappointed with it. But I think Andrew Scott, for the most part, is not in service of the plot, unfortunately. And I wish that his role could have been better, and I just unfortunately wasn't. And I feel the same way about Kerry Washington a little bit, but at least she like affected the plot in some way.
Yeah, that is true.
Andrew Scott
Um,
just, unfortunately, his character just does nothing.
Indeed. But yeah, I agree with that. I like the way it ends as well with
Also, Mila Kunis waste waste of space in this movie. Does
no,
nothing.
I was fine with Mila Kunis. I guess she's there. They always have,
She's
the
not very good.
detective that's like one step behind Benoit Blanc, but also trying to help out. So I think it's fine. Good for
I
her.
don't think she's
I,
very
I
good.
was fine with it. I had no issues.
Eh.
Um, I could take it or leave it, but I'm glad she's in there having fun. So I do think the ending as well with Father Judd having the gem, but obviously not using it for anything, and then he has it in the Christ statue.
Oh,
Uh, a nice
beautiful.
little touch.
In the guts, in the same way that it was in the guts of Wix's grandfather.
Indeed, and like the your inheritance is in Christ was quite literal. Also, I had to
Yeah,
do, if he was in church, maybe would have seen the glint of that gem once or twice, and perhaps would have been able to
but
find
he never
his
goes back
inheritance.
to.
But
He never
he
goes
never
back.
does. Yeah. So I think that all worked really, really well. I do think there's some moments where I was like not quite as plugged in. I think that whole little stretch when we have the resurrection, quote unquote resurrection of Monsignor Wicks, and
Really?
then Josh O'Connor's running around, and he's in the mud, and then he gets punched, and we're like knocked out, and all that stuff. That I felt things were a little strained. It wasn't quite as like smooth and tightly plotted as I would have liked. But I will say to your comment about like the overall entertainment factor, certainly still has it. I've watched a lot of Star Wars movies lately.
Mhm.
Mason will come home and will sometimes watch a portion of a film with me when he's like
Okay.
eating,
All right.
but then he'll like finish and then leave, and I'm like, I just don't know how people can do that. Where they'll sit and watch like a big chunk of the movie, 45 minutes to an hour, something like that, and then they can just be like, all right, I'll walk away. Obviously,
I can do it.
he'd seen those Star Wars movies before,
Yeah.
so that also makes sense.
I can do
But
it, especially if it's A, if it's something I've seen before, and B, if I'm walking in not at the beginning. If I walk in at the
right,
beginning, I think I'm there until the end,
mm,
or I'm going back and I'm finishing it on my own later. But if
yeah,
I walk in the middle of something and I really don't know what it is, I can just sit there for like 30, 45 minutes and then just dip.
gotcha. So, yeah, so I'm always just curious about like what will actually make him stay, because there's one movie before this happened, which is Thank You for Smoking, which is a very odd movie that I'm like he
He sat
actually
stayed through the whole
got
film.
invested in, like stayed for. Yeah.
Interesting.
um, but then he stayed for this one as well. I did
Hey,
nudge him a bit where I was like, oh, come on. Because we'd watched a good portion. And then I paused it because I need to put some things away. And he was like, there's an hour left. This was like right in the scene where Josh O'Connor gets the call from that secretary and like stays
mhm.
with her and everything.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
at that point, I was like, this is phenomenal. Like, this is an incredible movie. And
Mhm.
then right after that, or like 10 to 15 minutes after that, or 20 minutes, is when the whole Monsignor Wicks thing goes down, his resurrection. I was like, this part, I don't know, is hitting quite as hard, but
Mhm.
he
I
stayed
think
through
it's
it. He
good.
stayed through the whole film. So there you go. It was one of the few that was able to compel him to stay and watch it through.
Nice.
So it definitely has that in its favor. Again, I think I'd be happy with another trilogy of these movies. I think,
I'll keep watching them. I think if Ryan Johnson wants to keep making them, I will keep eating them up because they're
yeah,
fun.
Daniel Craig seems like he's having a blast, and I am
He is having a
100% in
blast.
for it. His look in this one as well. At first, I was like, I don't know about it, but I think it works really well. Like the
Yeah,
little scruff, the longer hair, and
it's
then the
sick.
suits that he's got. I'm like, I dig this. So if Ryan Johnson is able to find, and it's like no small task to one do a murder mystery that's compelling on its own, but then also he obviously tries to work in these grounded characters and these compelling themes as well. So
And also on the scale that it's at. This isn't like a television murder mystery. This is like a full feature film,
oh yeah,
artistic like work put into this. And he's pumping them out every 3 years now.
well, 3 years, yeah. So that's about the standard gap in between, but he's been holding firm to it. So I don't
Yeah,
know what he's doing next. We will see.
something different,
Certainly not a Star Wars trilogy, but something else.
unfortunately.
But I would be down for another trilogy of these. Like I said,
I'll
Knives
watch
Out.
as long as he's making them. I'm watching them, bro. They're fun.
I have been converted. Big Knives Out fan. Glass Onion.
I'll rewatch
We
it.
both really enjoyed it.
I'm gonna
Let
go
me
rewatch Knives
link
Out
above.
right now as soon as we finish
Oh,
recording.
snap. Okay. Well, let me know how you feel about it. But as
I
far
will.
as Wake Up Dead Man, how many harlot whores out of 5?
I'm not gonna lie to you. Right now, this might change. It might go lower later, but right now I'm feeling 4.5.
Wow.
I like it.
That's huge.
I had a really fun time watching it. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
think that's
I think there
more than
are
Glass
obvious
Onion.
flaws in it. Oh yeah, I definitely liked it more than Glass Onion. I think there's definitely flaws to it. It's my favorite so far of the 3. I just, even with the flaws there, I'm just having a good ass time. I think it's fun. I think Benoit Blanc is in it more than the other 2, or maybe not Glass Onion. He's in it quite a bit. Definitely more than Knives Out, which is a lot of fun. I like Benoit Blanc being there, and Josh O'Connor is just a great sidekick. He's just phenomenal in this. So yeah, I fuck with it.
There you go. Very compelling. I give it 3.5.
I think it's fair.
Out of 5.
I was between 4.5 and 4, to be honest with you. But I fuck with it. I had a good ass time.
There you go. Yeah, it's a solid movie. It
Very
100% is worth the watch. So give it a go, and then possibly revisit those old, Knives Out films as well.
Yeah. That's all the time we have. If you'd like to give your thoughts on the show, you can email us at theboxofficeshowpod@gmail.com.
Our main top theme for the show was Sundown by Joseph McDade.
If you like the show, please give us 5 stars in whatever podcast app you're listening to, and be sure to tune in next week. Have a great day.